Die, 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 die. Yai, die, 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 die. Yai, die, die, die. Ay, 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 die. Ay, 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 die, ya, die, die. Ya, die, 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 die. Yai, die, die, die. Ay, ay, ay. Yay, day, yay, day, yay, dum. Yabba, ba, yay, yay. Yay, da, 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 dum. Yay, da, 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 da. Yay, dum. Ya, da, 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 da. Yay, da, 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 dum. Yay, da, 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 da. Yay, da, 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 da. I Esainai El Harim Me'ayin Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Esainai El Harim Me'ayin Me'ayin Yavo Ezri Ezri Me'im Adonai Ose Shamayim Varetz Ezri Me'im Adonai Ose Shamayim Varetz. Boker Tov, good morning. I'm not sure what wisdom I have to share this morning. I think today, contradictory to what I really feel, I think that I'll take a short hiatus, at least for a few hours, from social media. I think that since Saturday, I've certainly done an extreme measure of reading and sharing and posting and all of these things, feeling immense grief and anxiety and just disbelief and kind of radical amazement, and obviously not in a positive way, but I feel like I'm shaking my head just nonstop in disbelief, really. And so last night I had this nightmare, which I don't usually get nightmares while I'm not usually sleeping long enough to even remember a dream. Who knows what level of sleep I get into. But perhaps it was something I looked at, last on my phone or on my computer before going to bed. I'm not sure why, or maybe it's just a culmination of all of this. But my nightmare, dream, whatever you want to call it, was very realistic. And it had this feeling of, waking up, gasping for air. And I think many of us are feeling like we don't know what to say. We don't know what to think. We don't know what the future has for us. There are many people scared to even be where we are. So many students yesterday in 7th grade, half the 7th grade class, today is the other half, had good questions, and the other half was totally naive. And while naive is good, I worry about, they spend a lot of time, teenagers, on social media, and we've been given some insider information, like it's not rocket science, it's not mind-blowing. We know that this is how it works, but just about the algorithms of social media and how in the next couple of days and weeks there will be graphic, gory pictures of what's really unfolding there. And that is what Hamas wants. They want us to see that. And so while children sometimes get their information from poor choice of sources, we had a discussion. And, the importance of, TikTok and Instagram and all of those things are wonderful. But if you don't know where your sources are coming from, and the algorithms say, if you keep sharing the same kind of thing, all of a sudden other things are going to show up that, we didn't intend to see. And there's a lot of things that we can't unsee. There's a lot of things that I can't unsee. There's a lot of moments yesterday. I don't call myself a firefighter. I'm not somebody that's running into a blazing building. But I started wearing I started wearing a kippah the majority of the time. I don't wear it all the time, but um, for prayer and for those kind of things, yes, of course. But just in the regular world, um, but I never wore it before, even for prayer. And I'm trying to remember. I asked one of my old students who was teaching with me yesterday if she remembered when I started wearing it, and I can't remember if it was after some horrific attack. I can't remember exactly what it was. I think it was something that happened in Brooklyn where it was like an attack after attack after attack, and I said, you know what, like, being out and proud doesn't only have to go with other things and labels that I wear, but to be proud as a Jew is to, if you wear a Star of David, if that's your jewelry of choice, or a bracelet or a ring or a kippah or whatever the things are that make us look outwardly Jewish. It was like I wanted all of that. And there were two moments yesterday, and this is with true transparency, that I was working right in the regular office space that we're in now. And I felt two moments of, I don't really feel safe. Safe enough. I didn't really think something was going to happen. It wasn't, a moment of shock or anything like that, or extreme anxiety. But I had two moments yesterday within the 6.5 hours of teaching that I was like, wait a minute. And then I was done teaching at 9:30. That's not true. At 9:15. And I came upstairs to exit the building. And two guys were standing outside because after 7 o'clock, the door locks, so you can't get in. And they had a cart, like clearly they were bringing things to their car and got locked out because, well, who doesn't think that a building would be open? And the cleaning person was there. And she was like hesitant to go to the door. So I'm thinking, like, well, maybe I shouldn't go out that door. If she doesn't want to open it, well, I certainly don't want to open it. And then the man bent his head down and he had a kippah on. It was a youngish guy. And he went like this and he pointed to mine. And in that moment, I felt, who knows, he could have been, we're hearing these stories in Manhattan that people are walking around, Palestinians trying to be, and others trying to be rabbis in order to use scare tactics or, God forbid, take hostages right here in New York. And so it could have been that. And maybe I'm naive or maybe I'm stupid. But I thought for that second, someone like me. And he wasn't like me because he was religious, we'll call him. He was Orthodox of some sort, not Chabad or Lubavitch kind of person. But anyway. And when I opened the door for him, he said, stay safe. As I walked to the parking lot alone, not fearing at all. There I wasn't fearful. But when I was locked in my office, or the feeling that I need to lock the door button while teaching, was a feeling I've not felt before. The same as the student that I shared who made Aliyah and lives in Israel, and he's been there through when people say, oh, Israel's always in conflict. There's always things going on. This is not the same. To which he said, Jenn, since he knows me forever, way before I was a rabbi, this doesn't feel safe to me. This is very different. His video is what I posted on social media. And in fact, he's coming home today. Home to New York for a break. He was fortunate enough to get on a plane. So while I don't run into fires, I usually wear things proudly. I've had college students reach out and say, I don't feel safe where I am. None of us feel safe. We're questioning, but as Jews, we know that we can't stop. We can't just hide in a corner. We need to be smart about what we do. But the truth is, we're hated in the world, and we make up such a small percentage as compared to others. It is deafening, the silence of others. The vigil that we had was remarkable. 800 plus people. It was a time to be together, to hold space and leave space, and to sing and to grieve and to cry and to hold each other up. And I looked around the room, and maybe there was a handful of Christian people because I happened to know who they were, some of which showed up saying, my sister's childhood friend said, I grew up with you guys. You've always taken me in for Jewish holidays and exposed me, and how could I not be here for you? Where is everyone else? Where is everyone else? And so a lot of us are holding a lot of different emotions. And the question has been asked, how do we stay connected enough to know what's going on, but disconnected enough for the ability to breathe is getting difficult. And we're not even there. But we all know someone, or we've all stood on that ground, or know someone that has, or know someone who is struggling or suffering. How do we find a balance of knowing and of breathing at the same time? Only a rabbi asks a question and answers with another, and not always an answer. In this week's Torah portion, Bereshit, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now the earth was formless and void. We come from nothingness. Nothingness is not a deficiency, but rather a fullness beyond our capacity to grasp it logically. And I think for many of us, we're in that moment right now. From nothingness, something is existing. We feel it. It's tangible. We see it. We feel the emotions that are attached to it. But it's so hard to grasp. It's so hard to understand. It's so easy to question why, how can it be? How can it end? What don't people see? Why am I seeing what they can't see? There is no category or container that can possibly hold this much nothingness. In a state of infinite and immeasurable, not yet existing is potential. Not yet existing is a peaceful solution. Not yet existing is the return of the hostages. Not yet existing is where children and parents can find themselves at home together. Not yet existing are the bodies that need to be able to be laid to rest. Not existing yet are the phone calls from loved ones still missing. Not existing yet is our ability to understand what is truly unfolding in the magnitude of disaster and despair that is ahead. That is a lot to hold. There is no container, no vacuum that can house that. And yet, we show up. And yet, we reach out. And yet, when we want to bury our head in the sand, we can't. We can't, and we must have the conversations that are disheartening, the conversations that are uncomfortable, because we have to be there for one another. We have to be there so that the youth and the uninformed can hear the right facts. I will be continuing to speak to our youth. I am going to put a Zoom call for tomorrow's Thursday night for our mitzvah teens to join as a place, as a platform for them to understand, more than what they're hearing from their peers or they're seeing on social media or what their parents are telling them, or just the the ability and the space for them to ask the questions that they need to ask without feeling ashamed, embarrassed, uneducated, whatever that looks like for them. So here we are to hold space for one another, to realize that this isn't going away quickly, and this is more than a lot of us can handle. And it's okay to take a step back. It's okay to cry. It's okay to question. It's okay to feel the emotions that you're feeling. Heartbrokenness is probably what I hear the most. I am heartbroken. I am devastated. I dropped Ellis off to school today, and one of the teachers that's been there for a long time, even my students have had her, said, "Rabbi, I don't have any words, but I don't know the answers, and I don't know what to say, and I don't know what to say to these little children." And I said, "They're 3 years old. Talk about things like the fences are up for safety. We want to keep everybody safe so you can have fun on the playground. And what do I tell my grandchild? He's 10. First, you need to tell him that social media is scary. And what about my son, his friend? He went to Schechter. His friend is the Melville kid that went to Schechter, who's missing, who is believed to be held hostage. We pray for his safe return, alive and in one piece. Min hametzar karatia anani v'merchavya. Min hametzar karatia anani v'merchavya. From the narrow places we call out, "Oh God, please answer. We need you now." Min hametzar karatia anani v'merchavya. We are one human family, one heart of abundant love. We love you. Let us be together in community as much as we can, to support each other, to uplift each other, to hope together, to pray together, to be there for one another. We love you. We'll be back here tomorrow morning at 9:30. Let's continue to stand strong together. Yai-dai, yai-dai. Yai-dai-dai-dai. Yai-dai, yai-dai, yai-dai-dai. Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai. Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai. Yai-dai-yai-dai. Ay-yai-yai-dai-dai-dai. Yai-dai-dai-dai-dai.